Sunday evening liturgy. We are live on YouTube and Clapper. The news from around the world is unsettling. Warlike conditions between police and authorities and gangs. People feeling fear for their safety. International relations that appear to be unsteady at best. Challenging and potentially frightening at worst. And it's Monday. God, come to us now, fast. We need your presence. We need your calming assurance that you care, that there is hope, that things can get better. Today we are going to be focusing our studies on a chapter in the Gospel of St. John. We're going to be looking at chapter 18, and I am going to read a portion of the last half of John chapter 18. Then we're going to take a break for a moment, and we're going to do some prayers, and that should give you, if you have the ability to jot in prayer requests as we go, time to do that. So we're starting with John chapter 18, verse 28, and I'm going to see if I can read down to about verse 33, and then we'll take a break and pray and come back and finish off the rest of the chapter and finish off the rest of our prayers. Then they led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to the court of the Roman governor. It was now morning, and the Jews didn't enter lest they be made unclean by coming into the house of the pagan and be unable to eat the Passover meal. So Pilate went out and asked, "What charge do you bring against this man?" They answered, "If you were not a criminal, we would not be handing him over to you." Pilate said, "Take him yourselves and judge him according to your rules, to your laws." They replied, "We ourselves are not allowed to put anyone to death." It was clear from this what kind of death Jesus would face. Pilate then entered the court again, called Jesus and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus replied, "Does this come from you, or do you hear it from others?" And we'll stop for a moment and do some prayers. And I'm going to see if I can talk a little bit, because I think we may have done some of this yesterday by mistake. So I am going to see if I can talk a little bit about the verse and what's coming up. Praying for peace around the world, peace in regions of the world that are rocked by terrorism, by fights between gangs and authorities, by civil war. Praying for peace between Russia and Ukraine, peace in the region of Israel and Palestine, peace between Iran and Israel, between Iran and Europe, between Iran and the United States. Praying for a reduction in the forms of pollution that contribute to global warming. Praying for all those around the world who've lost their jobs, and in the process have lost a work family, connections, support system. Praying for those who've been rejected by family and have nowhere to go and are trying to rebuild a family of choice. Praying for those who are bullied and for situations where there's been enormous grief, a family that lost a father, a family that lost a toddler, families have lost loved ones in school shootings. Praying specifically tonight for the community where Tumbler Ridge School is located in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. Moving back to the Gospel of John. In the rest of this passage, I'm just going to kind of describe it rather than read it, as I think we mainly read last night. Pilate asks Jesus, look, how am I to answer these questions? Like, you're the Jew, I'm not. You answer them. And then Pilate asks a little bit about this kingdom that Jesus is to set up. And Jesus really responds with, well, it ain't here, it isn't in this world. Because if I was like other people who are either rulers of this world or aspiring rulers to this world, basically the authorities, both from Rome and from the priests, would not have been able to have picked me up without a fight. And then Pilate's question becomes more specific. Are you a king? Jesus says, yep. Everyone who is on the side of truth hears my voice. And Pilate questions, like, what do you mean by truth? What is truth? Define it for me. After the discussion is over, Pilate goes out and talks to the Jewish people and says, look, we've got a choice here. We typically release a prisoner about this time of the year. We've got two here that we could release. We could release this one, Jesus, the one who says he's the King of the Jews. Or we've got another option. Who do you want? The people say we want Barabbas, who was a thief. There are times when the court of public opinion would rather have a person who is known to be guilty of crimes released than they would to have a person who is innocent but threatens them in some way. Not physically, not threatening in terms of crimes, but just threatens their sense of what is right, their sense of justice, their sense of spirituality. I think God is calling us to be a person who threatens the world outlook of individuals by showing that love is stronger and more powerful than hate. That love conquers where hate fails. Continuing our prayers, and I have not seen other prayer requests come in, so I think we're okay to continue on with my list. Praying for a person who had heart surgery and a person who has a serious heart condition. We're praying for the many medical professionals, doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, pharmacists, and the list Goes on and on. People who are feeling overwhelmed, underpaid, and not appreciated by clients, by employers, by governments. Praying for a person with AIDS. Praying for a few people who have cancer, a person with lung cancer, a person with breast and lung cancer. 3 famous people have cancer, 2 from the United Kingdom, King Charles and Princess Kate Middleton, and former Vice President and President of the United States, Joe Biden. Praying for a person's aunt who has cancer and dementia. Praying for a person who has more than one form of cancer at the same time. Scrolling down to where centering and affirming prayers are found. When things are threatening, we need to hear the voice of God, and this helps us hear the voice of God and helps assure us that we are the kind of people God values, loves, builds up, and respects. I will read a sentence in the prayer and give you time to repeat that sentence after me, and we'll move on through the prayer that way. It's about 5, maybe 6 sentences long at the most, and then we'll end our prayers for the night. Starting the affirming and centering prayer. I am a gift from God. How I use my skills, knowledge, and attitudes is a gift to humanity and to God. God surrounds me at all times. Even when it feels like things are hopeless, God is there. God, affirm your love. Heal the aching areas of my mind, my body, and my soul. Amen. Thank you very much for joining live. You are welcome to respond to this video with prayer requests or to message me directly with prayer requests. Good night.